Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Casa. Today is a very special edition since we are filming it for the first time from our Tech Hub in Lisbon, Portugal. And here at me today, we have our one and only Rafael López, also known as Fito. Fito will walk us through a little bit of our tech vision and how we're doing everything techy at QuintoAndar. And of course, we'll get to know a little bit about the behind the scene too. So welcome, Fito.
Thank you for having me, Larry. Ready for your hard and easy questions.
First one, I think it will be nice to mix a bit of you and your experience and how you arrive at Quinto. So I'm really curious. You bring a lot of experience on managing high performance teams. So how does that combine with your arrival at Quinto? Like, what was your perception? What caught your attention within our teams? And now that you've been here for a while, what do you think is the main differentiator for Quinto's tech teams?
Thank you very much for starting with an easy answer. So the first thing that really caught my attention was how different and how important the domain that we are working on is. So when you are looking to rent a property, you are really looking for a place to be happy in, right? That goes beyond any virtual like or retweet that there is there in the world, right? We are working with something that is very important. When someone buys a home, this is the largest purchase that they're going to make in their life. So we are working on real problems from real people. And I think that's a main differentiator from everything that there is. There is also this thing that is, we work with a database on real estate that is very specific and very unique to us, and is extremely big, extremely detailed, and extremely complex. And having access to that kind of data is something really, really unique. Then also the kind of the scale in which we are doing all of this, right? So we transact like 20 billion reais per year, which is amazing, right? And then obviously there is the people angle. So we are working with very talented people. So we are like our CPO and our CTO come from Google. A lot of people come from Google. A lot of people like me and many of my peers come from Meta. And a lot of people have grown from within in that context of high-performing, very nice people, right? So being able to work on real people problems, on cutting-edge technology with the best talent that there is in the market, that was something, a combination that is very strange, right? And I think that's very unique here.
And I think you've tackled two of the topics that I also want to dive a little deeper with you, which is scale and complexity. So as you mentioned, we go over 20 billion reais every year with hundreds of thousands of contracts managed for our both sales and rental business. What does that mean in terms of complexity for technology? Like, can you go a little bit deeper on how complex is that?
Well, the complexity is massive. So if you think about it, every journey of our users is a like multi-site, asynchronous, non-deterministic one. So there are many actors that are involved, right? You can have a tenant and a landlord, you can have a buyer and a seller, you have brokers like photographers, lawyers, and everyone have their own priorities, their own workflows, their own timelines, even their own like legal requirements, right? And we need to coordinate and orchestrate all of that, right, in a way that feels seamless and enjoyable for our users, right? This is very, very complex. We are also working on real time with one of like some of the most complex ML models that there is, to things like pricing, and liquidity and kind of seeing whether you will be able to afford a property or not, all this kind of risk management, right, that we need to do in real time. And we also need to manage all these transactions with zero data loss, right? Because the stakes are very high. When you are like an online retailer and you have a problem with your data, well, maybe your customer loses their like cart and they need to add all the products again to the shopping cart, right? But if we lose some data, someone might lose the opportunity to find a place that they love, or someone might lose the main source of income that they have, right? So we need to operate all that complexity with zero data loss in a way that is always available and always enjoyable. And this is a complexity that goes beyond our belief.
Okay, so it's here the topic of scale and volume. When we have a problem, our product, that should be costly, right? So we want to avoid that. But at the same time, on the other hand, and I think that's a big challenge in technology, experimentation is necessary for us to discover new stuff and build new exciting products. So how do we manage that at QuintoAndar? So how can we come up with new theses and new products, not jeopardizing our tech infrastructure and what we already have in place?
So I think that you should never trade quality for speed. Okay, so I think when you think about a complex development like this one, you should have built-in mechanisms that allow you to deliver things with a certain amount of performance, reliability, and efficiency. And I have always considered that this ability to experiment new things and to do great things and should be not opposing to stability, but a complementary force, right? So we have all the mechanisms that you will expect to guarantee that. Right? We have our own experimentation platform where we can run A/B testing. We have feature flags that allow us to conditionally open or close certain features. We have the ability to do a stage rollout, so we will roll out some features to 1% of the users and see how they behave, and we will be easily rolling back the things that are not performing like we want, right? At the end of the day, what we want to do is a product that the users actually love, not a product that they tolerate. And for that, I think you need to build in your development process the thing that you need to make that the easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So a product that they love, that help them love where they live, right? So that's great. And so on the big numbers, we've just announced it recently that we'll be investing 2 billion reais in tech and more specifically into AI. What does that mean for Quinto? Like, where are we allocating those resources? And if you could share a bit on what's happening in the kitchen, how teams are getting prepared for that.
Well, that's a lot of money. I have had to go and check how much was that in euros, right? I think that in reality, what it shows is like a big commitment on really advancing tech, right? And I think that this is like a bold statement where it positions you in a level of investment that not that many companies can actually afford, right? And I think that for many companies, AI come as an afterthought, right, or kind of a side project. For us, it's our big bet. We think that we can fundamentally redefine the way that this business is managed in the world. And we think that we can be the ones that do it best. And we really, really believe in AI. And unlike many other companies, we like to put our money where our mouth is.
Absolutely. That sounds a lot like Quinto. And I mean, that's a huge investment, as you've mentioned. So what's exactly that we already know that AI is taking and absorbing from daily routine within engineering teams? And what does that mean for the engineers? So what's there for them to focus on, and what's the challenge with this new AI for taking some of the more bureaucratic work? And how is this new dynamic?
Yeah, but AI is basically changing the way that we do engineering. I think that for many years we have asked engineers to be like Swiss Army knives and do a little bit of everything, like high-level product exploration, and then go deep into implement features, and then you have this piece of legacy code that you need to maintain and write all these tests, and we sprinkle that with some kind of soul-crushing administrative overhead, right? And this is kind of terrible. And I think that engineers need to do the things that engineers do best, which is basically building things and imagine new worlds, right? So we want to go from a moment where engineers are builders and maintainers of code to a world where engineers are explorers, right? Where they want to get to the moon and they can imagine how to get there. And then implementation is something that is delegated to AI, right? And they basically verify and handhold this AI to get the best results. But at the end of the day, all the creative part of the engineer world relies on the engineer. And they do this thing that only humans can do and that they do best than any technology, which is basically imagine the future.
And that's really interesting. I would like to double click on that. So we're talking about the people, right? And how they are working and what's expected from them. So we have a big push now at Quinto to hire more senior people. And that will, of course, put us on another level of tech density, which is exactly what we want at this moment. So what does it mean in terms of talent and people who we are looking for to work with? What changed from, let's say, I don't know if this is the best way to put it, but a more traditional software engineer profile from exactly these inflection point that we are living now with AI?
Yes, it's a fantastic way to put it, Larry. So I think when you think about a traditional engineer, right, what you're thinking is someone with this ability to write clean code, right, and to ship working tested software in an incremental way, and writing a code that other people enjoy working on because it's well written, following solid principles and the right design patterns. All of that is amazing, is beautiful, and we still want that, right? But now one on top of that is someone that has this kind of intelligence system architectural kind of view where they need to feel comfortable with a different way of doing engineering where non-determinism is always present, right? And where they are working on an environment that is probabilistic, and they need to be able to write prompt, design agent, design loops, being able to test the behaviors and performance of a model at a certain scale. This really changes the way that we do engineering, and there are bits of data science and data engineering that is mixed in the definition of what a software engineer is today, right? I think we are all trending toward that kind of model, right? Where we want to keep the old-fashioned kind of more traditional engineering, but we are putting on top a layer of feeling comfortable with AI, feeling comfortable with not knowing all the time, and feeling comfortable with this sense of not having all the control, right?
Yeah. So to that extent, we can still say that we do expect them to be a little bit of this Swiss Army knife that they, with just different skills, right? It's just a different skill set.
Yeah, that I mean, it's amazing because it's much more enjoyable. I think machines will be doing all the things that we hate, right, and that we don't always say that we hate, right?
Yeah.
And we will be concentrating on what we do better, which is the thing that is inherently human, which is the creation. But at the same time, we are in a world that is full of chaos, right? And what we are now able to do is mimicking this chaos with technology, and we need to embrace that chaos and embrace that non-deterministic that is come to our life and is there to stay.
Which I think is also the fun part of it, right?
Oh, it's fantastic.
And to that extent, so talking a little bit about what is the human piece of it, we know that technology doesn't come usually from easy consensual conversation that everyone agrees on a topic or on a solution. So how does that combine the dynamic that most of new theses projects, they come from tough, hard, dense conversations? And how does that apply to the way we work here at Quinto?
We work with very smart people, and very smart people normally come with very strong opinions, right? And we want that. We want people that are opinionated, right? But we want strong opinions that are loosely held, right? So we want people that come to a room with a really strong opinion, but they are able to change the opinion when they see the data, right? And I think that's very important. We don't believe in hierarchy. No one is right or wrong depending on the level in the org chart or anything like that, right? I think that code and data speak louder than words, and we want that, right? And this is something that we see in the dynamics on the team, right? I think you put very talented people together, you remove the obstacles that they have, and you model the right behaviors. And one of these behaviors is this ability to use data and code to hold really strong opinions, right? And then wonderful things happen. And I think on top of that, and on this part of the human relationship and so on, I think that for us it's very important that we really don't want rock stars that don't know how to play in a band, right? Part of the role of the engineer is being able to form part of a team and being able to raise the team with them and being able to make everyone better, right? And I think that what a team can achieve, no individual can do, right? So I will summarize that like, yeah, we want strong opinions loosely held. We don't believe in hierarchy. There are code and data that speak louder than words. And if you don't know how to play in a team, this is probably not the right company for you.
Vito, still connected to our ways of working, our working culture here at QuintoAndar. We know that the Tech Hub here in Lisbon has grown a lot the last couple of years, which is really nice and really fun. And more recently, we've just opened our new and very nice Villa QuintoAndar in São Paulo that you also had the opportunity to visit. So what does that mean for the culture of working in technology at QuintoAndar? How does that support this culture of hybrid teams that we have here?
I want people to be able to work from whenever they can do their best. For a lot of people, that's their homes, right? We are one of the few companies that still support this hybrid mode or even full-time remote work, right? And this is something that is very powerful. But we have invested a lot in the hubs that we have here in Lisbon, in Sao Paulo, that is truly amazing, one of the best offices that I have seen, and I have a very high bar for offices in Argentina. So we have people hired across the globe. We have just recently hired a lot of people in Madrid too. We have people distributed here, and every now and then they really demand this part of, hey, let's be together on a place, so we can also have this kind of social moment that allows us to build relationship like within people, right? And basically getting to know the people that you work with in a personal level. So every 3 months or so, we allow people to go to one of these hubs and have a week working together and doing planning and doing kind of architectural discussions and everything that they need. And also we have offices open for them for every time that they might need or they might be missing this kind of social contact, right? But yet again, one of the few companies that are still hiring people in this place where they are and that are supporting them to be working on the place where they can do their best.
Okay, and maybe for us to get to a closure to that conversation, so we talked a bit on what was your perception when you arrived, where we are moving towards with AI. If we think a little bit longer, like imagine 5 to 10 years, how tech will really impact the way that people are living and the way of living in Latin America? And what does that specific mean for Quinto? So how we are building this future of living for Latam?
I think technology will have a high impact, and the world fundamentally is going to be different in 5 to 10 years, right? And it's just already different that it was like 2 years ago since to AI, and it's going to continue changing. It's going to affect all the aspects of our life, including this one, right? When I think about this domain in the future, what I think is that the whole process is going to be much more enjoyable, right? And it's going to be frictionless. So when you want to move to a new place, when you actually want to enjoy the place where you are living in, right, and love it, you will have someone with you or something with you that is kind of your housing companion. That is doesn't feel like a transactional relationship, but a long-term thing, right? You will have with you a technology that has actually learned from you and know your preferences. And when you say, hey, I want to move out of this home because I'm moving to this other city, we'll take care of everything for you, but also will show you these 3 places that are close to these schools because it knows that you have kids in school age, right? Or when inevitably the heater will break, it will say, hey, I'm going to send you a plumber on Tuesday because I know this is the day that you work from home. I think that the whole journey is going to feel hyper personalized. You're going to have this feeling that you are working with a friend that accompanies you during all your housing journey and makes the whole thing like frictionless and enjoyable, which is not the case today, right? Sometimes this has a lot of friction, it's difficult and so on. I think it's going to remove all that complexity. And on the complexity, it's going to be very complicated for the technology. And I think that the best technology is the technology that you don't see. You don't know that is there because things just work. And I think for Quinto that's going to be the challenge, is how we can make all of that happen. But the user doesn't notice. They just feel they are working with a friend, this house companion that makes everything more enjoyable and that actually helps them love the place where they live.
I love that. Sounds like a dream. And I think we are on the right path.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we are on the right path to make that happen. So thank you so much, Vito. And I would love to invite you to please see the other episodes of O de Casa. Just go to our QuintoAndar's new room, so you'll find all the content there.
Thank you very much for having me, and I will definitely do.